Final hour overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star. You okay?
How do you think Jimmy Nance is going to be received at the Augusta National? You think he's going to show up after announcing he's retiring in 2036? You think people are going to be like, Jimmy, we're going to miss you. Can't believe it.
Yeah, that one, I've never seen anything like that. An 11-year victory lap by Jim Nance. I don't believe he's a member at Augusta, but
he will be.
Don't you think they would offer that? Like, I saw someone post it, and this is where I couldn't tell. It wasn't in April Fool's because it was a week ago. I couldn't tell if this was kind of goofing online. But someone had suggested that he thought he would get a green jacket after he retired, like 50 years, green jacket, maybe an honorary membership. I think, I could see Augusta doing that for Jim Nance. They don't have to.
They don't give him the jacket. I'm pretty sure he'd be welcome back to just show up and.
I don't know, man. Augusta's weird, man. Dave, you've been down there a lot. You know how they operate.
Yeah,
they don't really let anybody.
You don't get
in
a
there.
jacket if you're not a member. Okay.
Yeah.
You buy one on eBay.
Well, what does Jim?
So
Nance
how do they
have
select
to
the members? Like Peyton Manning's just all of a sudden a member there. Is that because he's just
and now
famous?
Eli got in too.
So how do they select Eli and Peyton Manning? Like, how do they get handpicked by these guys?
I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if someone has to sponsor you. Do you have to know somebody else there that puts you up? There's got to be a limitation on how many members they have. I don't know what that number would be.
It's a few hundred. Yeah, they don't have a ton. They don't want a ton.
Yeah, exactly.
And the bottom line is they don't tell anybody anything, right? Anything you hear about how it operates, it's all hearsay. It's all whispers and murmurs. There's a big tree outside the clubhouse at Augusta National where everybody kind of gathers around during Masters Week. And, you talk to this guy who knows a member. I've come to know a few members that you get a little friendly with because they're working.
They have to be there.
Yeah, they work.
They have to be there.
The members are overseeing the tournament.
That's right.
They're walking around in their green jackets and their ties and their ball caps, and they're overseeing the tournament.
Yeah, it's remarkable to see. Like that.
What does that mean, though? Overseeing the tournament?
Well,
are they
they're running the tournament? Like they have people working for them, and the PGA Tour is there.
Yeah. But
also
Eli Manning's not wheeling around on the range.
The way it was expressed to me is if you are a member, you are obligated to be at Augusta National during the Masters. You're obligated to be there. You can get a doctor's note to get out, but literally if you're a member, it is an obligation to be there in your green jacket every day representing the club.
Right.
And basically welcoming people and working within reason. They're not out there sodding the greens.
Right, but you see them. I mean,
in a range picker, Eli and Peyton.
But they will be there. Eli and Peyton will be there in their green jacket walking around.
Oh, yeah.
They have to be.
I've seen Peyton.
Man.
Yeah, they have to be.
I've been there a few times, and I've seen Peyton. You see Lynn Swann, the great receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Hall of Fame football receiver. You see Goodell hanging around now and then. He's got a green jacket.
Like Condoleezza Rice.
Walking
around.
Roger Goodell's a member at Augusta National.
He's walking around there occasionally in his green jacket.
Yeah, they have to be there.
Condoleezza's usually playing on the Sunday. I saw her playing with Scheffler's sister last year on the Sunday. I think Scotty was in the group too, and Scotty's sister, and then Condoleezza and another person. I'm not sure who it was. But obviously, probably a very wealthy person.
Mm-hmm.
It's the power. It's the power play of the United States, man. It's the.
You got to be there.
And the thing is, you can't ask to be a member. You have to be asked.
Right, and you can't turn them down and say, "Can you come back to me in 5 years?"
No.
Like you have about an hour. It's like Mission Impossible. This will self-destruct in 5 minutes. If you're in. You can write the check to here, and you can show up, and we'll fire up a jacket for you. You got to be here every single year when the Masters is on. You got to be here, welcoming party. You got to walk around with your jacket. It's amazing. Like, again, I was there last year for a few days, and you see the people, who's a member. The guys, they're walking around with their jacket on in suits. Like they got to be ties, they got to wear pants, they got to look presentable. Like it's crazy.
A weird look.
It's like a private school thing.
It is. It's a weird look because you're wearing a
clean
tie,
shaven,
a jacket, and a ball cap generally.
Yes.
You're wearing a mat.
And it might be 30 degrees out or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone else in shorts and golf shirts and crazy hot at 3:00 in the afternoon. These guys are walking around in green jackets and suits.
I think it's right up our next guest's alley.
Craig would rock a Masters green jacket. and it would look phenomenal.
You're right.
It would look phenomenal. Here he is, our good friend Craig Button, TSN Director of Scouting and potential member at Augusta National in the future. Can you confirm or deny that, Craig?
Well, that's a total 100% deny. First of all, you have to like be able to golf like to a reasonable level, like not even close. Like if they had like a putt, I wouldn't even be able to get into Augusta.
That's disappointing. We need to get you in there. We need you to get in so you can bring us.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
if
we
they
really
ever call
want.
you, direct the call to me if you don't want to be a member, okay?
I will certainly direct the call to you, but like Jeff, I mean, your buddy on the panel, James, I think he's got pull there.
Oh, he's a big shooter down there.
Oh,
man.
yeah. You know what grossed me out the last game we had? Puff, who is one of our producers, he has played the course. And I was like, no way, man. It's like as they have a media lottery after every Monday of the tournament, and Puff played the course. And he says his favorite thing on earth to do is just sit and have beers with random guys that he's met at hockey tournaments and stuff. And he tosses this one out there. What's the best course you ever played at? And then he comes over the top and says, I've played Augusta National. And they can't believe it. They don't believe him.
That's kind of greasy for
Dude,
you,
it is.
you to start the conversation. Hey, let's go around the table. Where have you played golf?
Dude,
like knowing what he's getting to?
I would crawl over. I would jump on somebody if they ever did that. Let's go around the table here and see what's the best course you've played.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Ever heard of Augusta National?
I happen to have played Augusta National.
You've played it, Feschuk?
But I would not bring it up. I would not bring it up.
How are you not bringing it up before
Well,
now?
I don't like to brag. I mean, I got lucky. I won a lottery. It wasn't exactly a great accomplishment, but
It
I was happy
absolutely
to
is
get
a
it.
great accomplishment.
Yeah.
Whose clubs did you use?
I used the guys whose house we were renting.
Really? Did you play well?
No, but I birdied 7. Got
Birdied
up and down on the short side on 6.
Wow, look at this guy. I'll bet
Par.
you could relive that whole experience.
I mean, I piped one down 10, which is the nicest feeling in the world.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Down
the
that
hill.
And I'll tell you the one more thing, because it was
Sorry,
a good
Craig.
experience. But the most nervous I've ever been in my life, and I'm talking, first kiss, first time, anything, was on the first tee at Augusta National.
Oh, man, you'd be terrified.
There's a bunch of green jackets standing around. It's a media, there's no crowd. It's the media lottery. It's the day after the Masters.
Right.
There's a lot of people around. Plus all your fellow media members that are all ready to tee off. And I was so nervous. But the guy in front of me, guy from New Zealand, I think he was, the writer from New Zealand, he goes up. He was actually turned out to be a pretty good player. But he goes up and chops one, takes a divot with his driver. It goes straight up in the air.
Oh, sickening. I'd leave. I'd be out of there.
But it actually loosened me up. I'm like,
yeah, he's worse than I am.
he was in front of me.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I can do better than that. And
I like
actually,
it.
I put one down the middle in the fairway, got on the green.
I can't believe I'm just learning this.
Then I 5-putted.
Okay, that's fine. You got on, man. That's all that matters.
Hey, Brian, we need a poll.
Yes.
Okay. So Jeff just first of all, Jeff, remember when your parents said life isn't fair? Like Puffy with that, like that's the statement, right? Life isn't fair that Puffy gets to do Augusta. But like, I'm amazed here. So like, what was a bigger brag? Like Puff around the table, or what Feschuk just did?
I'd say Feschuk, because we're on national TV, radio.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be everywhere. Now, people are stopping in the streets asking you questions about this.
Yeah, I think it was a
I'm
jerk
glad.
move
I'm
as
happy
well
for
as
you.
Feschuk did, holding that in for so long and then just coming over the top at the very end saying, I did that as well.
Just for the record.
But I never bring it up, other than the one time on national TV.
Well, you did. It was very natural. You just brought it up now in a very natural tone.
And I birdied 7, and I told
That was it.
and
Short
they
list
bought
of
me
highlights.
drinks,
Yeah.
And like, it was unbelievable.
This guy from New Zealand, we got a lot of details.
Put it in the
there.
water on 12.
Okay, that's fine.
Still looking for that
At
one.
least you got to play it, man. What are you expecting at the Bell Center tonight, Craig? We got a good one. We got a rematch here, Montreal and Florida, and the Habs have played Florida really, really well the last couple of times. Bigger game for them, clearly, than Florida, but the Panthers are, they're chasing the Leafs now in the top seed in the Atlantic. This should be a great game. What are you expecting tonight?
Yeah, I'm expecting a great atmosphere at the Bell Center. The Montreal Canadiens were stumbling and bumbling, to say the least. Then they go on to Florida on Sunday, and they play a great game, and the intensity picked up. Mikkola decided that he was going to act like a jackass. So, that raises the temperature a little bit. But Florida needs the points as well. I mean, they come into Toronto on Wednesday night, and I think if you ask Florida, they don't want to play Tampa Bay. Toronto, they don't want to play Florida or Tampa Bay. First place in that division is important, and playoffs now for the Montreal Canadiens, you keep winning, keep showing that you can do it, and I don't think there's a better atmosphere than the Bell Center come playoff time. It'll be a playoff atmosphere in there tonight.
Yeah, it sure will be. And when you look at Montreal, what is it you've seen over the last few weeks? I guess go back to the Four Nations face-off. Like, what have you seen from the Habs that have put themselves in this position where they're the pace card now for that second wild card spot?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things, Brian. Number one is the top line has been outstanding. I mean, Slavkovsky really has taken his game up a notch, and certainly Suzuki and Caulfield have been outstanding. We know what Lane Hudson has done. And one of the other things that I think has been really important, kind of understated, is that Alex Newhook has moved into the second-line center spot. And he hasn't just played like in that spot, like with some goals and some offense. He's been a really good player in there. And I think it's really, really helped their overall game. The other player, Alex Carrier. They made a trade. They traded Justin Barron to get Alex Carrier, and just a stable, steady player. Not a lot of flash. Just gets in there, plays, doesn't make mistakes, plays his 20 minutes, and I think that's been really important, as well as Montembeault. So you get all this, you get all these different areas of the game in order, and now you have a chance to win more games, and that's exactly what Montreal has done.
Greg, a couple of young kids joining NHL teams, Americans, Perreault and Leonard going to Washington. Do you expect those guys to jump right in and kind of be contributors or learning curve, or what are you expecting out of those guys?
Well, Jeff, you've seen those two guys play at the World Junior Tournament, and you know that they're really good players. I think that Ryan Leonard, that is, has a little bit better chance to come in there and really settle in, because he doesn't have to step up and provide, significant offense or something. They have that all in order. I think that Ryan Leonard is like a great trade deadline, in this case, college NCAA addition, because he's coming right in there to help your team, and he doesn't have to play up in the lineup. He can just play there. He's a big-time competitor. He's smart. He can skate. He can add offense, but you don't have to put him in a frontline role. Gabe is a little bit different. I mean, the Rangers might be looking for him to come and give him a little bit of offensive pop, and I think that expectation is a little bit bigger on Gabe than it is on Ryan going into Washington. But if you're looking for some offense, Gabe Perreault has been a really good offensive player, and Ryan Leonard, I think, just makes a strong team that much stronger in Washington.
Hey, Craig, if you're in the front office tonight, and would you want your coach to send a message about how to deal with the Mikkola situation here? Like, can the Habs afford to sort of deal with it, or should they let this thing slide for another day where the points don't mean as much, the stakes aren't quite as high, and take his number and get him back down the road?
Yeah, what I would say, Dave, is that the focus has to be on 2 points. So, what Mikkola did the other day, like I said, was a dumb move. Department of Player Safety fined him. It's just one of those unsportsmanlike moves. Nobody got hurt, and so what I would say is, let's just get the 2 points. Let's zero in on that. If there comes a time somewhere down the road where somebody feels they have to deal with it or they should deal with it, well, fine, we'll do with it then. But for Marty St. Louis, that should not be any type of comment or focus, in my view. You need 2 points, and making the playoffs would be significant for this. I think making the playoffs and getting 2 points is way more significant for the Montreal Canadiens than trying to deal with what Mikkola did on Sunday.
With Craig Button. So Ottawa's in action tonight, and they've done their part. Like, they've banked likely enough points to hold on to a playoff spot. They're going to get more down the stretch. Pretty much laid out now. They're the first wild card, so they're going to play whoever wins the Atlantic Division. Based on what you've seen out of them, presuming health, and Brady Tkachuk won't play tonight. He's been banged up since the Four Nations. But presuming health, how dangerous do you think Ottawa could be to any of the three teams they might face, Toronto, Florida, or Tampa?
I think they could be dangerous to all three of them. One of the things that happens when you're a team such as Ottawa, you come into the playoffs in that spot in the seeding, you have nothing to lose. You have zero to lose. you go in there. I'm not going to suggest that it's a scenario where you're not feeling excited or not feeling some pressure, but you get into the playoffs now, and you get a healthy group. You get playing, and you get that excitement of playing in the playoffs without the pressure of having to win. Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay all have pressure to win. Ottawa get into the playoffs. I think their pressure was to get into the playoffs. They won't feel that. They'll just feel, hey, let's just leave it all on the table there. You're not playing with house money, but you have a little bit of house money to play with, so to speak.
With Craig Button. So I'm just seeing, I guess Rick Tocchet had been speaking in the last little while, and Elias Pettersson still not even really skating. Like, who knows if we're going to see him again. And I guess Philip Hedl is done for the year, likely done for the year, courtesy of Rick Tocchet and the Canucks. And I'm curious what you see happening with Vancouver this offseason. Like, how much change could be afoot out there? How crazy could the offseason get? The future of Rick Tocchet appears to be up in the air. Like, what should we be bracing for in Vancouver?
It's amazing, isn't it, what a year's difference does? I mean, last year after losing in Game 7, isn't it, Jeff? Like, Game 7, they lose to the Edmonton Oilers. Everything that had gone right for the Vancouver Canucks. A good team, lots of happiness in Vancouver. And now, the season, I mean, injuries from the summer. I mean, the drama with JT Miller, and now the uncertainty with Rick Tocchet. And I think the uncertainty with Rick Tocchet is big. And when you think about, I think he's done a hell of a job in there. I think he did a hell of a job last year. He's had to deal with a lot of things that I would label as distractions this year. And I was in Winnipeg on Sunday when Vancouver, and a coach's job is to max out the potential of the team. Make sure you get everything you can out of a team. He did that. They just didn't have enough to beat a really good Winnipeg team. And I think Rick Tocchet is a really good coach. Now, when we start talking about a really good coach and talk, we're also talking about timing, whether it be a potential free agent having a career year, somebody coming up for a new contract, or a coach that has a place that would covet him. Oh, yeah, the Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, Rick Tocchet embodies everything the Flyers are. I think that if the Flyers named Rick Tocchet their head coach, there would be a parade. And I think that Rick Tocchet, much like Mike Babcock coming to Toronto in 2014, could provide, or 2015 he came, could provide a real significant boost for the organization. Because everybody loves talk in Philadelphia, and he's a good coach. And right now, I look at the Vancouver Canucks, and with all the uncertainty surrounding it, Rick Tocchet's going to have some choices. And what the connection is with him and Philadelphia and him, I think it's pretty strong.
Craig, as far as Vancouver, we had a little odds on putting a percentage on next year making the playoffs. Like, what percentage would you give Van of next year qualifying for the playoffs?
Probably where they're at. Like, I mean, right now, probably about 40 to 50%. Because Jim Rutherford is the one that even said it best, in my view, and he's the one that's got his fingers on the controls. Is that when they traded JT Miller, he said, we're going to have to find a way to get another center in here, to get more moves. It's not going to be one move. It's going to be multiple moves. Hedl's out. Hedl's a good player. But that team struggles to score. That team really has a struggle to score. You need more offense, and I don't think they have enough offense. Obviously they're counting on Elias Pettersson to come back, but now you're asking Elias Pettersson to come back after 125 games of off performance, and certainly we know he's had the talent, but now it gets longer, and you start to question what's he going to come back to, and so I don't see them right now. They got work to do to be able to get into a better odds of making the playoffs next year. And if they don't have Rick Tocchet, that also puts them into another spot, because as you try to attract free agents, they want to know who your coach is going to be.
If you were another GM, how difficult would it be for you to fall into the trap of acquiring Elias Pettersson on a different team? Or would you be interested in something like that?
$11.6 million for the next 7 years on a player whose play has dramatically fallen off. I would be scared to death.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it, man. I don't see how you couldn't, Dave. I don't know how you couldn't.
It's scary. It's scary. But Craig, I mean, when you think about that team, I mean, isn't there some way to kind of turn that around quickly? Like, to your point, like, Tocchet's a great coach, but maybe you need a new voice. Maybe you need, a crop of free agents that come in there and sort of change the dynamic to some degree. You get some better goaltending, which wouldn't hurt to shore up Demko's situation. It doesn't seem like it's impossible to make Pettersson back into the 100-point player he was. If indeed he wants to be that guy, we don't know that, but you could change the environment around him, hopefully, change the result.
You're paying a guy $11.6 million and you're trying to change the environment around him. When I pay a guy $11.6 million, he's the guy that drives it. He's the guy that changes the environment. And you just listed a number of things, Dave, that lead me to believe that there ain't no quick fix in Vancouver.
Well, you're stuck with him, though. I mean, like, you got to try and change something to bring back the guy he was, right? He can be that guy. There wasn't too far, too long ago that he was that guy. And, if you lost all hope that he can be that guy?
He hasn't given me any indication that he can be that guy again. Much like Jonathan Huberdeau. Jonathan Huberdeau is playing really well for the Calgary Flames. He's not anywhere close to what he was when he came over from the Florida Panthers. And I think Elias Pettersson is right on the same path. Oof. And you can buy him out.
Yeah.
You're not stuck with anybody.
Terrifying, man.
Terrifying. That is scary. So you're thinking you'd be thinking about the buyout? You'd be looking at the buyout?
No, I'm just saying you're not stuck with anybody. You don't have to be stuck with anybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
the idea of a buyout would literally haunt my dreams. Like, it would make me throw up.
Can you imagine
morning.
sending that email to the owner? Can we meet for lunch? I have a proposal for you.
You know what has to happen? I'll tell you what has to happen there. What has to happen there is what LA did and what Washington did. You got two scenarios where Pierre-Luc Dubois was clearly not working out in LA, and they needed to change him out, and he had a lot of years left on his contract. They believed in him, and a change of scenery worked out for Pierre-Luc Dubois. And that was the decision. Now, there was a lot of rumors last year that they were going to buy out Pierre-Luc Dubois, but the Stanley Cup final ended up going till June 24th, and Pierre-Luc Dubois had turned 26. So the buyout was going to be 2/3 instead of 1/3. And that's not the case with Elias Pettersson. But when you start to look at the scenario of how they moved him and how they traded him, that to me is what you're going to have to try to look at doing. And it doesn't change the fact that as a GM, what are you getting? Because you got 11.6 times 7. And Dave, you just talked about it. What do you got to do to get players making that much money? Have to drive your team. Leon Draisaitl has had nothing on his wings this year, and this guy's in the MVP conversation. That's what I want for $11.6 million.
Yeah.
I don't want to try to find players to get $11.6 million out of my guy.
Yep. Yeah, listen, they paid him. They gave him the money. It's on him to pull his weight. He's got to fulfill that contract, man. And it has not been a good calendar year for him. All right, Craig, we'll leave it there. We'll do it again soon. Thank you for this.
Hey, did I tell you the best golf course I ever was at? St. Andrews.
St. Andrews. That's over the top. See, St. Andrews can compete.
Yeah, St. Andrews was okay. I mean, but it reminded me of that first tee. When they call your name, 4-ball, and you get up there and everybody's watching, and you only want to make one good shot, and that's the tee shot on one.
Absolutely,
that's right.
Man. I've heard some stories over there that the starter, like if you're chopping it around, he may say, "Sorry, you're not playing St. Andrews today."
Yeah,
it's not an option for you. You cannot be playing. That is terrifying.
Next time I'm on the show, remind me to tell you my Luke Richardson story. It's pretty funny.
Okay, I love it. Mark that, Doogie. We'll bring it up next time. Thank you, Craig.
Okay, have a great day.
Craig Button. Yeah, St. Andrews is one you can come over the top with. Like if you
easy, I'll make you a deal. One day when we're old and gray, we'll go to St. Andrews and watch, because it's around the same time, I think. And Wimbledon, we'll go to the final at Wimbledon and we'll play St. Andrews.
Okay. Now, they're pretty far, like one's in Scotland, one's in London.
Or a train ride.
It's a train ride.
Okay.
We'll figure
And by
it
the
out.
way,
round at St. Andrews.
And the Wimbledon final.
By the way, I played that one too.
Final.
You played St. Andrews?
Yeah, I played.
Look at you.
I'm
Is there
terrible.
anything you haven't
What are
played?
you talking about?
I got lucky on that one too. I got invited to play.
You're
I'm
kidding.
a terrible golfer. Like
No, I've seen you
I
play. You
shouldn't
can
be
play
out
golf.
there.
No, you're selling yourself short. You can play golf.
But-
Like you would not be a fish out of water at any of these places. there anything else you want to reveal? Are you a member at Pine Valley?
No, sadly not. No.
Cypress Point?
No.
Like, is there anything else?
No, it's pretty boring other than that. Those
Okay.
are my 2 career highlights.
Shadow Creek, have you played Pebble?
Those are my 2 career highlights.
You can't really beat that. I don't think you could beat Augusta and St. Andrews. There's no other 2-pack you can drop on any golfer that can compete with that.
Yeah, Augusta's just one because it's so hard to get
So
on.
exclusive.
Yeah, like Sam Mitchell's played Augusta because he had a friend that was a member, and he I remember talking to Sam about it.
Sam said he could get us on.
Yeah.
Did he?
Sam was lying to us years ago.
He threw us some garbage. He was
because he's not using a play at Augusta on us though. Like naturally, we had to be. You got to be honest.
But Sam and I were both saying like it's the one thing you can say. Like even to pro athletes with tens of millions of dollars. The one thing you can say that can impress them.
Absolutely.
Like, because they can't get on.
Right.
Like, they don't know how to get on.
You can't just call and say, I want to come play.
All the money in the world, and you can't buy around.
It's nothing.
You can pay $1,000 to play Pebble Beach. You can pay to play St. Andrews. You can pay I guess Pine Valley's another one.
Valley's
but it doesn't have the mystique because it doesn't have the Masters.
Like, you got to be a golf freak to know Pine Valley.
Right.
Like, and if you know it, you know it. And then you know what we're talking about. Like, that would be a bucket list for a lot of guys. That's all they want to play is
Pine Valley's rated ahead of Augusta National.
Yes.
Yeah, plenty of courses are, right?
Been considered the number 1 course in the world for 30 years, Pine Valley. Now, you might argue Cypress Point. Maybe there's a couple in Ireland, Scotland, et cetera. But anyway, all right, Dallas Braden coming up. His take on Max Scherzer. His take on Bowden Francis, who looked great again last night. What we can expect out of Jose Berrios. He owes his team a start after opening day. It was a terrible opening day. He's got to give him one tonight. Torpedo bats and the Sacramento Athletics. That more coming up with the Dallas Braden. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel later in the hour. Jays Nationals tonight. See how many torpedo bats are put in play tonight.
Yeah,
we need to track
the Jays
this.
gotten on board?
Not that I'm aware of. Davis Schneider was looking at.
I think he
using
tried
one.
it.
Okay, so I think he put it in play. I'll tell you who doesn't need one right now is Andreas Jimenez. This guy is Cecil Fielder, dude. This guy 3 home runs.
Second baseman.
Second base. 165 pounds, and he's mashing.
I know.
He's mashing. And then he stole a base last night. Like, that's what I expected. Like, get on base, steal a base, Kirk will hit you in. It happened last night. He had 3 runs. He also hit a home run. 3 home runs in 5 starts for Jimenez. Guy's been a beast. He's been an absolute beast. And I don't think he's got the torpedo bat in play, but maybe he'll look into that in the future.
I think there's a lot of orders on the books for torpedo bats.
I think there should be.
FedEx is going to be busy.
Here's longtime MLB pitcher, host of Baseball is Dead, and athletics analyst. Here's Dallas Braden. Dallas is a former pitcher yourself. Are you pro or anti-torpedo bat?
Well, boys, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's good to be back with our neighbors to the north.
Yep.
Let me start here. And I think I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective. But as a pitcher, if you're telling me you want to take wood away from the portions of the bat that I would love for you to hit the baseball on, I am all for that. I am all for that. And what does that mean? Well, as you've heard people sort of talk about and describe, we're taking wood from the end of the bat and maybe the handle of the bat, the 2 places where you would not like to hit the ball, and we're putting it all together in a place that you specifically hit the ball most frequently. And that's what we've all tried to learn as young players coming up is barrel awareness, right? Get familiar with where the barrel of the bat is so you can put that barrel on the baseball. Well, as you get older and you learn your swing and you understand that velocity is something that you're going to have to contend with, it's here to stay, it's only going to get harder, you have to adjust. How do we do that? The hitters are starting to figure out, well, if I can get to the baseball consistently with this type of swing and I can put this portion of the bat, or I do put this portion of the bat on the baseball consistently, why don't we make this the hardest part of the bat for me? And so that's what hitters are doing. So it's been said in different ways. You know, there's been players who have come out and said, you're not moving the barrel, bro. You're just putting more wood in the. So then, I mean, effectively, isn't that moving the barrel? Like we're taking wood from one part of the bat and we're compiling it in another place, therefore creating a barrel, the location of the barrel that was not consistent before. That's exactly what we're doing. And our folks over at Birdman Bats out in San Francisco, California, incredible company, already ahead of the curve. They've been entertaining this. And I've got one on the way. It's at the ballpark waiting for me right now. I can't wait to go look at that thing. Not that I can do damage with it, but it's just going to be fun to explore. But it's something that I think when we start to evaluate players like, Giancarlo Stanton last year, he's been talked about. It's come out that, the bat was designed for him, or he got the bat designed for him. And anytime you associate that kind of power and the results that comes with that kind of power, I think everybody's sort of interested. If they can gather another 10 to 15 feet on their fly ball, I think they'd be happy with that. But this really, for me, is all about who you are as a hitter, understanding who you are as a hitter, and being able to adjust accordingly. Because it's not going to be for everybody, but for the folks who are really interested in understanding the science behind it and trying to match that up with what they do physically, I think it's a great opportunity for the offensive side of the game to try to catch up, to try to close the gap between what's happening on the mound as far as technology and resources and being able to translate that into productivity, right? We have the ability to get in the lab and watch with slow-mo cameras where the baseball is coming off of our fingers, how efficient the spin is on any given pitch, and how we're able to duplicate that, how we're able to repeat that. And now for hitters, what they're finally figuring out, or what it seems like they're figuring out, is if I can put this barrel on this bat that I use in a place where I consistently hit the baseball, now maybe I might be onto something.
What do you think the trajectory is, Dallas? Like, is this just something where guys are all geeked up about it and they're starting to launch balls? Do you think it'll level off? Or, I mean, what would have to happen for the league to kind of take a look at this? Like, would guys have to just completely start mashing all throughout the league and then they're going to say, we got to do something about this? Or what do you think their trajectory is?
Well, I guess my question would be, what would you have the league do? Because remember, these bats are all 100% legal, completely within the specifications and the guidelines of the protocol for Major League Baseball and the wooden bat requirements. So in terms of the league taking a look at it, the only look that the league, quote unquote, would be taking a look at, and when I say league, I mean organizations, is, all right, is this really something? And from player to player, is this something that you're comfortable with? Because that's really going to be the key, is if you're a player who is comfortable making adjustments, this may be something that you start to entertain. I believe that the data that you would want to be referencing is going to have to be convincing for you to want to make that adjustment or be willing really to even entertain that adjustment. But when I think about a guy like Anthony Volpe on the Yankees, who was using the bat, and he's a guy that's been talked about, and his swing. I also think about a former Yankee by the name of Derek Jeter, a guy who was well known, had the ability to inside out the baseball, had no problem shooting the ball the other way. Now, if you start to move the barrel down on his bat a bit, or you start to give him a concentrated point to focus on with that swing, does he become even more dangerous? And that's where the curiosity for me comes in, because would Derek Jeter turn into a 30-homer, 35-homer a year guy because he's now got a barrel oriented in a place that he's more comfortable with, the place where he has consistently hit the baseball? That's where I think when we start talking about the launch angle revolution that has occurred, where guys who are not 25 to 30 home run a year guys fancy themselves that because they're just trying to lift the ball, because they're being told, hey, you can cash in on the other side of the wall, right? They're not paying you to hit the doubles. They're not paying you to hit the singles. They're paying you to hit the homers. And they're turning their blind eye to the 220 average if you can pop 40 and give us 80 stakes plus, and you got an OPS 850 plus, 900, right? So that's where I think this is going to be another interesting frontier for players to explore. Is this an adjustment worth making? Is this something they feel confident that they can make in a quick amount of time? And from there, I think we'll start to evaluate. But I think it's going to be just like everything else in this game that pops up, is we're going to give it a try. It's the new favorite flavor of the week. And then from there, if you like it, when you go back next time, you'll probably get 2 scoops of it. If you don't like it, you'll probably just stick to your vanilla.
The Jays had high hopes when they signed Max Scherzer, despite the fact he's a 40-year-old pitcher, despite the fact he only pitched 43 innings last year due to injuries. What does it say to you that he's been having this thumb trouble, goes down to see a specialist in Pennsylvania, and now has come home having received a cortisone shot to the thumb?
Well, it's discouraging, I think, first and foremost, because of the expectations that you have if you're a Jays fan, that I know the Jays had, and obviously Max, being the uber competitor that he is, has of himself. So I think initially, like there's really no other way to say it. It just sucks. It's tough because you know what he could represent should he be healthy enough to take the baseball 20, 25 plus times. That would be great. Unfortunately, what he has found out and what he has discovered, what he's long known, is that this thumb is nothing to turn your nose up at. He has to pay attention to this, and he has been able to correlate how that thumb feels really with the rest of his body. And I think if you listen to what he said last time after coming out of the ball game, like, hey, I could feel the lat, I could feel everything. It was compromised. If I was going to continue to pitch through this, it was just going to be a matter of time before it blows. And he absolutely attributes it to the health or lack of for the thumb. So when you look at the rotation and how it shapes up and some of the arms that you have there, when you look at this Blue Jays rotation, if it's healthy, you feel pretty good about things. You feel pretty good about your ability to get through 5, 6, 7 innings, and handing it over to the bullpen now, that's probably a different question considering the lack of performance last year. And I'm sure they've got, hopes to be better. But ultimately, losing a guy like Max Scherzer, who could absolutely be that veteran presence, is a tough blow, especially for a team that is trying to figure things out in a division where looks like the Yankees and the way that they have retooled are looking to plant their flag, even with the struggles of the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, and Baltimore winning again last night, so they're 3-2. Jays are 3-2, though. I mean, the Jays are in a decent spot to start the year. And Bowden Francis,
sure,
he did it again last night, Dallas. I mean, this guy, ever since the beginning of August last year, he's been an ace. He's not there yet. He's the fifth man in the rotation coming out of camp. He's still got to earn his keep. But I'm curious, what is the sample size you need to maybe move past, okay, who is Bowden Francis to, all right, this is Bowden Francis. He's a legit major league pitcher. He's a guy you can rely on. He's a guy that if he's healthy can give you a certain amount of starts and a certain amount of innings. How much more does a young pitcher like Francis, using him as the example, how much more does he have to show before he's officially made it?
Well, I think what you focus on and what I personally focus on for the young guys are their ability to go out and command the strike zone with frequency and efficiency. And that's, so I don't want to call it a hallmark of his, but he's been able to fill up the zone. He's been able to limit traffic to an extent, and that's a big deal. So I think as you start to see a young guy continue, because how many starts does he have under his belt career-wise? 10, 15, I think maybe 14 total. You include the one, this outing this year. But 6 solid innings, right? 4 punch-outs, and the stuff plays. So I think, again, when you have somebody like Max go down, this is an opportunity for Bowden to show you exactly what he's all about and who he is. So I think for him, it's just about the regular reps. It's about being able to pitch to an extent where you have bought yourself the next outing. And I don't know that he's in a position to have to buy himself the next outing, but it's really just about making sure you're polished. The biggest name of the game is attack the strike zone. If he can do that, like I said, with his stuff, I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, and he's not young. He's 28 years old, I believe, but still he is in terms of the major leagues and him being, an everyday pitcher. And it was a great debut for him last night. It was not for Jose Berrios on opening day. He's a veteran. He's back on the mound tonight. Curious in your experience, like when you're coming off a rough start, especially a big platform game like opening day, do you put, I know it's a marathon. He's been very consistent throughout his career. For the most part, he's a guy that remains healthy. He's likely going to give him 31 or 32 starts. But start 2 after a rough start 1, how much of it is in your head once you get out there tonight? I got to throw strikes, I got to get some outs, and I got to redeem myself here.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of that for sure because you have those expectations of yourself, right? And I think Berrios is an intrinsically motivated guy. He knows what it takes to compete at this level, and those juices get bubbled up inside with this dude. And that's something that I really like about him is the competitive streak, the competitive nature. So I think I can remember going out. My opening day start, the start I made on opening day, felt like I pitched well. Things didn't quite work out well for our club, but what you take away from that is, you know what? I can pitch. I'm fine. Everything's going to be all right. It's the first start of the year. So you just go back to the drawing board, you take a look at where you went wrong, where things sort of fell apart, and you get back on the horse and ride. And I know that's extremely cliche to say, but what would you have him do after start one? Would you have him start to make wholesale changes and a complete overhaul of things, right? He'd be looked at like he has four heads if he walked in and we're telling the boys, all right, boys, here we go. We're switching it up. It's a completely different pitch mix. I'm going out of the stretch only, and we're going to see how it go. Hold on. What are we doing, Jose? And because of the veteran he is, he knows that it's just a matter of ironing the kinks out here early.
Absolutely. It's weird, man. You go to like MLB.com, ESPN.com, the AL West, Los Angeles Angels, Texas Rangers, Houston Astros, Seattle Mariners, Athletics. Like, it's not Sacramento Athletics. It's not Oakland Athletics. You got a great connection with that team, with the city of Oakland, the Bay Area. What was it like last night? I guess that home opener looked like a sold-out barn, but what do you make of this whole transition up in Sacramento?
Yeah, no, there was a ton of people. There was a ton of people. The berms were packed. Every place, every seat in the house was sold. There were folks walking around, standing, yelling, and having a good time. Obviously, it's a very different feeling, and I think a lot of people were intrigued on how this was going to go and what it was going to feel like. I walked around Old Sacramento, which is right across the river from the ballpark, with my family before the game, and there were a ton of fans out. There were a ton of fans who wanted to say hi and take pictures and just very excited about the opportunity to have big league baseball in their backyard now. And I think that's what I took away from it, first and foremost. And I did take away some very emotional exchanges, because there were fans that I had met that had said, man, I've been a fan since '68, since they got to Oakland. I've been a fan since the late '70s, right after their triplet run. And those are fans who were telling me, and you know what? I was able to just sort of put a Band-Aid back on it and realize that I love this team. I love the game of baseball, and I'll be there to support. So I hope that's the energy and the mantra that wins out over the season. But I think as far as the accommodations go and what these players have available to them, when you say minor league ballpark on the surface, I think there's a negative connotation attached to it, understandably so, because this is the big leagues. And you expect everything to be big league from top to bottom. And I think with the space that they have and with the resources that they were given, they have absolutely maximized every opportunity that they had to turn this into a big league accommodating facility. And I think the players, for the most part, have seen that and responded.
Great catching up with you, Dallas. We appreciate you doing this, man. We'll do it again soon.
Anytime, boys. Always glad to talk ball with you.
You got it. Dallas Braden, the host of the Baseball is Dead podcast, athletics analyst up in Sacramento. It's got somewhat of an Arizona Coyotes vibe to it.
Mullet Arena vibe.
Mullet Arena.
I did that thing. Like, we moved to Carolina, and you get there, and it's like, by the way, you're not playing here. You're going to drive to Greensboro for a couple of years and play. And by the way, when you get there, there's going to be a tarp on the top of the arena so nobody can see the empty stands up top. And you're like...
the National Hockey League.
Yeah, you're like,
God,
this is not the NHL. You're driving 85 miles for a home game, 85 miles back. And at the end of the day, we had a bunch of good guys where they were like, it's not that big a deal. Like, it's at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. But you don't feel like you're in the NHL. There's 2,500 people, and the top's tarped off. It just doesn't feel like that, man.
Well, that's what's like in Sacramento. Listen, it's new. It's a market that does have a sports history to an extent with the NBA. And maybe they support it all year. Maybe it's a packed house. But this team's not very good either. And there's a chance you're going to get into June, July, and August. And their good players
are going to be like,
people there.
They got
and one of their good players are going to be like, I don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not the big leagues, man.
Now,
I'm out.
They're going to Vegas. And I think a lot of players would be like, I wouldn't mind getting to Vegas. But that's still years
How could
in
this
the road,
be
down the road.
They're going to Vegas. How was this plan B? Like, okay, I get it. You're leaving Oakland, but this was the temporary plan on the way to Vegas.
The mess.
Like, come on.
Best Bets powered by FanDuel coming up. Raptors and Jays in action tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's Best Bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. hits a home run tonight. I'm on Vladdy hitting a home run. He has not hit one yet this season. It's early, but it just feels like a night where Vladdy goes off tonight.
Torpedo bat home run?
Torpedo bat home run for Vladdy Jr. Torpedo bat $550 million and a home run tonight. And I think Berrios bounces back. Alternate strikeout number, 5+ tonight. 5+ for Berrios. Vladdy hits a home run. That's paying like plus 700 on FanDuel. I love that parlay tonight. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every MLB game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario. All right, Dave, good seeing you. Thanks for doing this.
Great to be here.
Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star. Played Augusta at one point. Just want everyone to know
Just
that.
saying.
And St. Andrews.
And St. Andrews. Mic drop ×2. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. Appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Sid, you're off the power play is the dumbest comment in OverDrive history. 4 p.m.
Get them out, man. Get them out.
Get you out.
We'll chat then.